Welcome, everyone, to Microsoft 365 Development Biweekly Call. It is January 6th, 2022. Already a whole new year, a whole new level of excitement, and a lot of opportunity. My name is David Warner with Catapult Systems and a PNP team member, and I'll be your host today. Our agenda is going to be jam-packed full of amazing stuff. We're going to get updates on the latest PNP initiatives and programs. We're going to have our picture time, and then we're going to have 3 incredible demos by 4 fantastic presenters. The first being Louisa Fries on building enterprise solutions with Power Platform, things to do and not to do. And then we're going to turn the mic over to Sergey Sergeev on PNP provisioning with Microsoft Teams notifications. And then we'll round it out with Natalie and Roy on updates on the independent publisher connectors and Coinbase connector demo. So all you crypto fans, get ready. It's going to be exciting. Let's talk about opportunities to participate in the community. There are plenty. We love demos of solutions and technical patterns, so we invite you to present on any of these calls. If you would just like to contribute via samples or something similar like that, helping keep their samples updated, we invite you to do that as well. And of course, we love feedback, whether it's constructive or positive. We'd love to hear what you would like to see the community doing in a different way or a better way, or things that could be improved. Now, if you would like to demo, there is a specific URL that you can fill out. That URL is on the screen, aka.ms/m365pnp/request/demo, and we will get back to you on slotting you in. If you're a little nervous on that, well, we've got a program to help you with that too. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, what are all the resources that are available to you? Well, we're going to start out with some community videos and developer videos. There are videos aplenty to kind of walk you through how to learn how to use better the Microsoft 365 tenancy that you have available to you. There is open source initiatives, things like CLIs and other PNP, PowerShell, programs like that are going to help you be taking more advantage of your tenancy. And then there are sample galleries, a number of samples that cross Teams, SPFX, Power Platform, list formatting, you name it, we got it. And you know what? It was all provided by you. So these are samples that are available to you for free and available for you to upgrade. But there are so many links, and it may be a little hard for you to keep track of all those links, but you only need to remember one. aka.ms/m365pnp is the primary link that will give you access to all these amazing tools and initiatives. So don't hesitate. We are here to help. One of the biggest and newest sample opportunities is script samples. Let's hand the mic over to Paul Bullock to tell us more about it.
Thank you, David. Happy New Year, everybody. So Script Samples is a site where you can host your sort of PowerShell scripts or Bash scripts that we do that you use to automate tasks in 365. So, for example, if you've got like a Microsoft Graph PowerShell script, CLI for 365, PNP PowerShell, or SPA management tooling, and more. To be fair, that the number of tools isn't really limited, so it's just a matter of me setting up the filters and things in the site to allow you to find these things. And recently, I've just added support for Teams PowerShell scripts as well, so you can submit samples for those if you want. We've got many more on the pipeline coming through, which is super awesome. We've had some new samples over the Christmas period, which is absolutely fantastic. So 6 new scenarios. So scenarios are like, for example, you want to upload a document or you want to do something with Teams, and then you've got one like a script associated with that, and then you've got updates if for example, you've got multiple tools that do that specific scenario and things like that. I'd like to thank the contributors for this. The continuous contribution is absolutely awesome, so I thank you very much. So call out to Rodrigo Pinto, Rashmi Akalu, Casper Larson, and Jitin Palmer as well for the contributions over Christmas. If you want to know how to get started, we've got a blog. I'll post in the link in the chat very shortly. Actually, David's beating me to it, which is cool. So that if you want to know how to get started and contribute, and Lisa want to know what this is about as well. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Now, this is one of the first initiatives that are available to you, and there are plenty more, but you may be a little intimidated by them, and you may think, how do I get more involved in using them, perhaps even contributing back? I am nowhere near ready for that. Well, we are here to provide an opportunity to ensure you are ready. Sharing is Caring is a program that provides hands-on guidance to not only use the resources, but contribute back. Things like, I've never really interfaced with GitHub. I don't even know how to do a pull request. We're going to walk you through it hands-on together in safe space sessions that are not recorded, opportunities to ask questions, to learn together with members of the PNP team and other members of the community. We also have Ask Me Anythings coming up, PNP Search on January 11th, and a number of open discussions as well, along with more thematic AMA. So all free, all ready for you to begin registering for in 2022. Please don't hesitate to take advantage of it. We want to help you get more involved. Now, once you do get involved, we want to celebrate all the work that you've been doing. And the PNP Recognition Program is one that is going to be increasing in volume in 2022. It started out in 2021. It's powered by Credly, the same Credly that creates the badges and runs the badging system for certifications for Microsoft. It is no cost to you. We cover all the cost. But we do use it to celebrate you in a formal and official way. So we want to make sure that you are recognized for all the hard work you're doing in a way that you can share with others and showcase to your employers, to your clients, to all the people that want to know that you're doing amazing work. It is free to register. We do need you to opt in so that we can tie your contributions back to an email address. Again, you're going to see a whole host of new opportunities in 2022. It was a great success in 2021. So we're going to have a lot of fun campaigns, limited edition badges, stuff like that. So definitely, please don't hesitate to register. The Microsoft 365 platform call is one of our newer calls that started in August. It occurs on Tuesdays, and the next one is the 11th of January at 8 a.m. Pacific time. This is a platform call, meaning that it's coming from Microsoft Engineering. It's going to cover all of the Microsoft 365 topics, but you're always going to see a Microsoft presenter. So we see a host of topics coming up for next Tuesday. Rajdeep on Introduction to Microsoft Graph Connectors SDK, Wajid on building a Microsoft Teams bot for scheduling tasks and to get reminders, and then Sebastian Levert on Introduction to Microsoft Graph Toolkit. That's a great series that takes you through all the different MGT components and how to use them. Don't miss it. Definitely sign up, aka.ms/m365-dev-call. Now, let's dive into PNP.NET libraries, and I'll hand it over to Bert.
Thank you, David. So for PNP.NET, we did a release of the PNP Core SDK just before Christmas, so it was kind of a Christmas present. We didn't really talk about it yet, but here I am. So in this release, what are the main new things? Native support for .NET 6, so the NuGet packages now contain .NET 6 assemblies. And by the way, if you're in .NET developing and using .NET 5, just switch to 6 as a seamless transition. .NET 6 is a long-term supported version, so I would just do that quick change and you get more benefits, more performance and so on. So that's great. So feature-wise, Sergey Sergeyev, who will be doing a demo today, did work on ALM, webhook, user profiles, and forwarding support. So a ton of work done by Sergey. So a big thank you for that, Sergey. Great stuff. So support for other clouds is there. And performance improvements, OData, no metadata, meaning we just save bandwidth. We don't pull down data that we actually were not using. And we, by default, use network compression now. That kind of brings down the network, bytes of the network, like with a factor of 20 or so. So it's a huge, huge difference. Okay, let's move to the next slide, David. And sorry for the audio hiccup. On the PNP framework side, we also released a version, 1.9, together with the 1.6 from PNP Core SDK. That one mainly is, like usual, merging the PRs that community creates and did some work on the schema. Still some work to do there as well. And for Core SDK, we already talked about that. What's coming in the next version? There's already support for branding. So all the site branding teams, header, footer stuff, logos, those things are being added as options in the platform. And some smaller fixes done for Blazor support by Andreas. I think that kind of sums it up. Let's move to PowerShell. So PowerShell, also a new release just before Christmas at the same time, 1.9. There's been a while since we released, so I think many folks are happy with the new release. I don't have like a list of extensive new things, but there is several new commandlets and updates done. Also, maybe usage-wise, December was a really good usage month for PowerShell, so usage is still growing, so that's great to see. And then next, PowerShell v2 will be there. Again, .NET 6 based, latest PowerShell and simpler commandlets. It has been on this slide for a couple of months now, but it takes time to work on that. And but step by step, we're getting there. All right, that's it then. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Next, we'll move into Yo Teams. The latest release is 3.5, which was released in November. The next release is 4.0, coming in, was coming in. The next was available in December. That is the .next, which is available to you to test out. You can always take advantage of that by using the next preview. We're looking for opportunity to document everything, so you could go to aka.ms/Yo Teams and get more involved. Next up is Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So what's new? TeamsFX authentication provider preview. So you can take a look in PMI, Microsoft MGT-Teams-provider. I know a lot of work is going into MGT right now, so we're going to see a ton of opportunity coming up. We're going to see aligning all the toolkit components with Fluent UI Web Components 3.0, and accessibility improvements are available on the Storybook, aka.ms/MGT-dev. And then there's a generic MGT picker component. So again, you can get more involved here. You can help fix bugs. You can help improve features. Always reach out if you would like to learn a little bit more. Next up is Microsoft Teams samples, and we'll give the mic over to Bob German.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I don't have a whole lot to share today, but just want to remind everyone that if you're looking for samples, if you're looking to build a Teams app, why not start with somebody who's already built a lot of it for you? We have the Universal Sample Solution Gallery at adoption.microsoft.com. Or if you want to filter based on some of the more technical aspects, go to aka.ms/teams-samples. Same samples, just organized a little bit differently. And eventually all those features will converge into the universal one. You can see that Parker is kind of lonely and cold today because he didn't get any new samples over the holidays. Poor guy. So definitely please submit your samples, pull request. If you need some help, if you want to just reach out to me either on Twitter or here, or drop an issue in GitHub or what have you, I'd be glad to help you bring your sample into the gallery or into the repo. If you need some help to finish it up or you want a second set of eyes, I'm here. Just let me know. Thanks, Dave. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Just looking at Paul's face.
No, I'm going to change my name this year.
Yeah, that's where we all strive to be more Paul.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
Power Platform samples with April Dunham.
Thanks, David. So similar to Bob, no new samples over the holidays for Power Platform, but we have a ton of great ones and so many ways that you can contribute with different, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Effects, VA, virtual agents, Power BI samples, and also submitting bug requests, bug issues, and all of that. Also, though, we do have a Power Platform samples first-time contributor coming up. So if you haven't contributed yet and you're interested in how to get started, you can check that out. Join us on Tuesday, January 18th at 1 Pacific to find out how to start contributing and get all of your questions answered. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, April. Yeah, that Power Platform first-time contributor is awesome. We've got some really cool things to show off, so don't hesitate to join. Again, all completely free. Next up is our picture time. Everybody loves to wave to the community, so this is your opportunity to do that. We'll hand it over to Vesa to capture that.
Yes, it's the one thing what I was expected to do in this call, and I wasn't prepared for it. So here we go. So let me 2 seconds. I will share my screen. Always catch me by a surprise. And let me share my screen. Let me do Camtasia. One day I will learn to do this on time. So here we go. We are filling in fast. There's the screen. We have 50 seats on the screen. A few more free seats. I will actually start recording. Let's wait for the people to join, and let's do some hand waving when we are in 50. I think we're maxing out. Let me put myself there as well. Let's do some hand waving as well. So everybody waving hands. Awesome to see you all on the call. Excellent, excellent. We are hitting again more than 150, 170 attendees. Thank you everybody for joining, and please keep the feedback coming. Thank you everybody. Awesome, really, really cool.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Fantastic waving and faces. Love to see all of the diversity of our community. All right, let's move into the demo time with our rock stars today. The first demo is going to be by Louisa Fries on building enterprise solutions with Power Platform, things to do and not to do. Louisa, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Let me share my screen. If Teams wants me to, I think you should all be able to see my screen right now.
Yep, looks great.
So, welcome to my session on building enterprise solutions with Power Platform, things to do and rather not to do. So let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Louise Fraser. I'm a Power Platform developer, MVP for our Office Apps and Services. I'm a member of this fantastic team here at PnP. You will find my blog at m365princess.com, and please do also find me on Twitter to connect. So, why am I a good person to talk about how to build an enterprise solution with Power Platform? It's because I happen to build one with my dear colleague and friend, Carmen Esabine. The app is called Provision Genie, and it's a Teams provisioning engine. And we built this using also Power Platform, and you can find it at provisiongenie.com, where you can find the entire documentation, and I will refer to this as a good example for a Power Platform enterprise solution. So what we do have is we have a beautiful UI. It's made with Teams UI Toolkit, and it happens to be a Power Apps Canvas app, but it does not look like a Power Apps Canvas app. We use Dataverse as our database to store all of those Teams requests, and we use Azure Logic Apps to handle the entire provisioning. Okay, so I love Power Platform, and it's really great, but it has indeed some shortcomings. So usually, if you think about Power Apps, they don't look and feel like they would belong into Teams or anywhere else. They are just like not very nice looking, usually. Power Automate flows run in the context of a signed-in user. And we will see a little bit later that this is really a struggle that we need to overcome as a hurdle. And then licensing. I mean, don't get me started on that, but it's not only super hard to understand, and you almost need to have a PhD in licensing, but it's also super easy to make very poor choices regarding architecture of your application because of licensing. And then Power Platform is meant to be to support you in developing line of business applications, which means that those apps are supposed to live in your tenant. And this makes it a little bit harder to make them deployable into another tenant. So apart from these Power Platform specific problems that we do have to have an enterprise ready solution, we have some problems that are not Power Platform specific, but that we need to take into consideration as well. And this is just like, where would we handle our secrets for all of those app registrations that we would probably need, as of course, so if we want to do some cool stuff, just like calling Graph API, for instance, we need to authenticate. And of course, this comes with a lot of struggle as well. How would we ensure that this enterprise application is maintainable? How would we ensure supportability? So to achieve all of that, there's of course a long list of things not to do, a rather short list of things that you should do. I will give 3 examples what you really should avoid and what you should do instead to be successful with a Power Platform solution. And a little bit of a spoiler up front, it is not Power Platform only. Okay, so what you really should avoid is using Power Automate for mission critical processes. So Power Automate, so it's a great tool, but it's really intended to be for personal productivity. And this means if you have a mission critical process that then runs in the context of a user, you will not be successful in that. We have some real heavy problems with that, because if your flow runs in the M365 seeded license and it does not run for 90 days, so it's just 3 months, then it gets disabled. So you get an email about that. But usually, if you use Power Automate, you will set up a service account, so like a fake user, and then this fake user gets an email, and who's monitoring that? So most likely you will not even notice that this happens. And speaking of service accounts, this will lead us like to a whole different area of problems. So those problems exist already in other solutions as well, but they will persist in Power Platform as well. So where will we store our passwords? Changing passwords, rotating passwords. So this is always a struggle, and it's tedious, and it will lead to process failures. Next thing is, what about security? Because usually those fake users, aka service accounts, we will use them for several applications or several flows and several processes. So they are just like massively overprivileged, and this violates all of the good practices that we are already used to when not building specifically with Power Platform. Next up is accountability. So that is a huge question mark for just like everything. And last thing is the life cycle of such a service account. So either it gets deleted because it was not used, but then it's still used, or it needs to be used, or they don't get deleted after just an installation or maintenance job. So there are just like too many question marks, and I would not recommend to go with service accounts or just like fake users. So what you should do instead is, please don't use Power Automate, use Logic Apps instead, because the Logic app runs in the context of an application, and you also have a way better and flexible developer experience, which means I can use the nice clicky-clacky designer if I like to, but I also do not only have a code view, but I can manipulate the code right where I'm writing it. And this is just like way more flexible to me, and it's way faster just if you need to copy paste some things over. Next thing is licensing. I mean, it's consumption based. It's with your Azure subscription, and that just means that you pay what you use. And of course, there's a free tier for Logic Apps as well. And last but not least, it's so much easier to monitor because Power Automate Flow in the context of a user, run history is preserved for 30 days. Due to GDPR and several regulations, and you can preserve this in Logic Apps way longer. Okay, next thing, don't do Azure AD app registrations. Why would you not want to do this? Because usually with an app registration, there comes a secret, and the secret will not only expire at some point, so you need to manage that. But if you put that in your source code files, then those secrets become visible to developers, and this is a potential leak. And then we use something like a key vault to avoid this, but then we need to have credentials to log into that key vault. So this is kind of a chicken egg problem. And of course, this is not Power Platform specific, but we should think about the Power Platform solution like any other solution as well. And if you wouldn't do that in your code, then you shouldn't do that in your low-code application as well. So this is not a good idea. So what you should do instead is you should use Azure Managed Identities instead, because those give your application an identity in the cloud without first registering an application in AD. And that means this whole process of creating the application, the service principal, getting a secret, storing that, maintaining that is abstracted away from you. You don't need to care about secrets. You don't even have a secret. And this just like helps solving this chicken egg problem. And it's just like state of the art to handle this. Last thing I want to talk about today is I know we all love SharePoint. I do as well, for content and collaboration. What I do not like is if someone tries to abuse a SharePoint list as a relational database, because it's just not. And if we try to do that, because the SharePoint connector is in Power Automate, usually free, or it's seated in your M365 license, then we occur a lot of problems, like with developer experience, performance, and security. So developer experience is just like really worse in Power Apps because processing of data is usually delegated to the data source, and that's it would be SharePoint, but a lot of functions are not delegatable to SharePoint. And this means that heavy processing of data becomes just like incredibly hard. we have just like hurdles to overcome in terms of filtering data, large lists or lists with a lot of columns and a lot of complex columns will reduce the velocity of our application. Last but not least, if I have a Power App based on a SharePoint list, then I need to share the entire list with all users of that application. And this means they could even bypass my app and manipulate data, even if I don't want that. So speaking of that, I would not recommend to do this like that. So in case you really think a SharePoint list is a good thing to have in your application, that if it's just a simple list, you're fine. If you need to have lookup columns, if you're trying to get something like a relational database, like many-to-many relationships, intersection tables, something like that, please don't use SharePoint anymore. But I have a good suggestion what to use instead. So built-in into Power Platform is Dataverse. And Dataverse is a relational database. It's built in, it's super fast. So if I run performance tests, it's way the fastest storage that is available across M365 and Azure. And best thing about it, it comes with role-based access control with security rules, which means that I do have very granular control of what I want to show whom and who can access what in which manner. And if you now think, well, that was already a lot, and how would I get started with building an enterprise solution with Power Platform? My suggestion is, based on my experience building Provision Genie, plan your enterprise app properly for future readiness. So settle in for just like a minor feature set, but don't make poor architecture choices. Make decisions that make your app future ready. Please don't go for a quick and dirty approach, because quick and dirty, so that the dirtiness stays. And this will not go away. And it's just like way more hard to refactor this later. And mostly later becomes never. And last but not least, please do connect with like-minded people, like in this call or in the Fantastic Power Apps community call, just like to get guidance from others as well, because this is yet again a team sport. And with that, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. Please check out Provision Genie and let's connect. Thank you.
Awesome, Luis. Very well done. Thank you for that cornucopia of tips and tricks, pointers, and guidance. Awesome. Well, next up is going to be Sergey Sergeyev on PnP provisioning with Microsoft Teams notifications. So Sergey, I see you are sharing. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sergey Sergeyev. I'm SharePoint developer and consultant, also MVP in Office development. And in this demo, we're going to see how to set up a PnP provisioning notifications mechanism using Microsoft Teams bot. So let's go to the demo right away. What I have here is just a regular SharePoint website. I have some branding applied, but what I'm going to do is to apply a site template using this menu. I'm going to apply a completely custom site template I've created before. So it is called PnP Contoso Landing, and this template contains only one step called trigger flow. And this flow starts the PnP provisioning process inside Azure Web Job. So let's just go ahead and use this template. And while it is starting, let's see how this flow looks like. So it's not a Power Automate flow, it's Azure Logic App actually. And this pattern is quite common when you develop a PnP provisioning process on top of site template. So you see this HTTP trigger, and then when we receive HTTP request, we put a new message in a queue, and then our Azure Web Job or Azure function, doesn't really matter. So this flow put a message in a queue, and then finally our Azure Web Job starts a PNP provisioning process based on this message. Also, we have Microsoft Teams, and we have IT team and PNP provisioning channel here. And you see that we've just received a new card here from our PNP notifier bot. And this bot updates this card. It pushes the current progress with the PNP provisioning. It shows what is the current object which is being provisioned, what are the total steps, and what is the current step. So let's wait for a while until it will be finished. It should be quite fast. So it's the last step, the navigation object. Okay, now this provisioning is completed. You can click the link to open your site. If there are any problems or errors during the provisioning process, then the error card will be pushed here with all details and stack trace. This bot is fully configurable, meaning that if you want to see notifications in a completely different channel, then you can just type the command code configure PNP notifications like this. So the bot replied with this card where you have a button to enable notifications. So after I click enable, then the card is updated, and now it indicates that for this specific channel, notifications are also enabled. So next time I will apply this template on the SharePoint website. So then this channel will also receive notifications from the bot. So basically, this is how it works from end user perspective and from IT department perspective. When somebody starts the process of provisioning, then the IT department also receives the notifications, the status, and probably the logs of this process. Now let's take a look how it looks like from the source code perspective, right? So as I said, I have a custom site template, or it is called site design previously, and only one site script. So basically, we have this trigger flow verb, and that's it. So nothing special here. Also, we have a job here and the bot here. So let's start with the bot itself. So the bot, if you go back to the Teams, then again the bot handles command. So when you type configure PNP notification, this is the command. And also it handles card actions. When I click this button, then that's the card action. That is why in the code behind for bot, we have two handlers, on command and on card action. If you go to command handler, then we have configure notifications command. And this command is quite simple. It creates the card, and this card contains the information about whether the notifications are enabled or not. And the bot simply creates a new activity or creates an output with the card. And you can see this card and you can click on this button. Now, when you click the button, then if you go back to the bot, then we handle card action. Let's see how it looks like under the cards. Configure PNP notifications card handler. And here we have whether card action is enabled or disabled. And if it is enabled, for example, then we go here and we create this notification data object, and we should store channel ID. This is important. And also we should store the service URL. We need this parameter later on in the job, and tenant ID. All this data is stored inside Cosmos database. If we go to Azure again, in Azure we have a Cosmos database. And basically this is the record for notifications. And when we enable notifications for a specific channel, then the code simply adds a new item into the notifications data list, and it contains all the parameters I've just mentioned. And the implementation of storage is based on the iStorage interface defined in the bot builder. And the default implementation uses, that's a bot builder based Cosmos DB partition storage, which simply writes to Cosmos database. But if you have a need, you can implement your own or just use completely different storage. So once again, when we click enable notifications, then we simply store all this data in the database, and then we update our activity, which means that the bot updates labels that notifications are enabled, and also it updates the text for the button here. So when I click again disable, then we see that after a while this card will be updated. So this is the bot. As you see, it handles commands and actions, not very complicated. Now, if you go to the PNP notifier job, then what we have here, first of all, we have the PNP template, and also we have a code which executes the PNP provisioning. I think you know this code, so it's web.apply provisioning template. But during the provisioning process, we also push some updates about the provisioning process, about the status, about the current step, etc., using this notification card manager class. For example, before the provisioning, we send this starting card async. So what is that? This is just a thumbnail card with some details like site URL here, template name, some images as well. And then in this cycle, notification data. So again, notification data, this is the data. Basically, this is all the channels where we configure notifications. So we iterate over all channels and we create this connector client. So connector client is a special class from bot builder, and this class allows us to send proactive messages to the team's channels. Proactive messages means that our bot does not reply or does not reply to some actions, but instead our bot proactively pushes messages to the channel. So for that purpose, we use this connector client. And then using this client, we simply create a new conversation and we provide as activity, we provide the thumbnail card. So how it works? So this is our initial card, which is created by this method, create conversation async. And this card is created proactively using proactive messages from PNP notifier bot. So the bot indicates that we are starting the PNP provisioning process. Later on, when we are in progress, in PNP, you can specify the progress delegate, which will push notifications about current step and the progress of PNP provisioning. So on every step, we send a reply, again, a reply to this card. And if you remember here, we displayed the current step, the progress, and the total steps. So basically, again, this is the thumbnail card containing message, progress, total steps. And once again, we iterate over all the channels where we enabled the notifications. We again use this connector client. And then finally, we update activity, which means that we update this card and we simply push different message and different progress based on the data provided from PNP delegate. So this is how update works. And finally, in the very end of this process, if everything is successful, then we just send the success card. If there are some problems, there are some errors, then we create an error card And this error card contains error code, and as well as tag trace, and also the link to provisioning logs. So, for example, the IT department can see that there were some problems during the provisioning process. They can simply click and open the logs and probably quickly identify where the problem is. Yeah, so basically this is it. Yeah, just to recap, we have a custom site template based on the Logic app. Custom site template executes the PNP provisioning process, and during the PNP provisioning, we use Microsoft Teams bot and proactive messaging to push updates to the dedicated channel, for example, for IT department, to see what's happening, what is the status, and what is the outcome. Yeah, so that's it from me. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Sergey. That is super, super cool. Love the use of iconography in that. Love the notifications, the transparency, keeps everyone updated along the way of the provisioning. Really, really fantastic. Posted some links for Sergey's article that he's written on this, as well as the source code will be available to you in the blog post if you're watching the video. Thank you again, Sergey. Awesome job. Next up is Natalie and Roy on updates on independent publisher connectors and a Coinbase connector demo. Natalie, take it away.
Thanks, David. Happy New Year, everyone. Great to be back here. So again, independent publisher connectors, for those who don't know about these, they are Power Platform connectors that are submitted by anyone. So you don't have to actually own the API to submit connectors anymore. So we have almost 50 connectors in production, missing one. So we're at 49 today. I've added 6 in the last month. Just a couple of highlights. One has been submitted on behalf of a company. Some of them have been co-authored by 2 people. Some of these connectors have also been updated numerous times, especially the AccuWeather connector. And we have a total of 27 incredible independent publishers. You can see all their names on the right of the screen. And so 6 connectors that have been released in the last month: Square Business, Square Payments, Aftership, Zoom Meetings, Chuck Norris, and Dad Jokes. So those last 2 were in the queue for a really long time, and everyone has always been laughing about those. They're finally out. So it's awesome to see how Troy, Taiki, Akutora, and Daniel have pushed out these connectors. In addition to that, we have 34 connectors in our pipeline. Some interesting ones that I see here as well is, looks like we are going to have a new Google connector. We have a Google Cloud Translation connector. There's a COVID-19 API as well, a CO2 signal, which is going to be our second sustainability connector that we have. So it's awesome to see that. And I'll just leave this for a second for you all to take a look. And of course, Coinbase will have that demo today. Cool. So Roy Parr is here with us today. So Roy works at Microsoft. So Roy, I'll push over the mic to you. Feel free to introduce yourself and show us your cool demo on the Coinbase connector.
Sounds good. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, so hi, everybody. Roy Parr with Microsoft on our industry solutions team here. I wanted to quickly show you guys the Coinbase connector that I made for this independent publisher program. Sort of heard about the program randomly, saw a presentation that Natalie was doing talking about the program. I had built a couple before for project work, and then I thought, this is something that I could probably try and tackle. So I sort of looked at my phone and I said, what are some apps and services that I use every day, kind of getting into crypto. So I thought, let me look at Coinbase. I have a Coinbase account. And so I went on the website. I noticed that they have a pretty robust API and documentation. So I said, let me try and tackle an easy connector using the Coinbase API. I noticed that they have a few endpoints that don't require authentication. So, from their services, you can get back a list of all currencies that they have listed. You can get back a list of all exchange rates for crypto, and you can get a spot price or a market rate for a particular crypto currency without any authentication. I wanted to try and make a connector sort of the easy way without an API key or anything like that. So I went into our sandbox here and I started building my custom connector. I just used those three actions, those three endpoints, and I made my connector with their GET calls to those endpoints, where you pass in, for example, to get a spot price on a currency, you pass in the currency code for the crypto that you want a spot price on, and then the base currency that you want it to come back in. So USD, for example, or euros, or what have you. Another one is just to get a list of all the currencies, as I mentioned. I think this is just all fiat currencies, so it's not crypto. And then the last one is our exchange rates here. So you pass in your currency code and your base currency, and you get back a current exchange rate. So I kind of put this together and then sort of fumbled my way through the publisher program. Downloaded this this Pacon CLI. So I'm not a developer. I had to kind of figure out how all this works. So you basically install the CLI, install Python, and then you log into your environment and sort of download the API JSON files, so the definition files for your connector. And then what you get back is, your API definition.swagger.json and then API properties.json, and you create a README. And then you basically fork your the Power Platform connectors repo, you clone it locally, and then this independent publisher connectors repo is where you eventually do your pull request. So here's my Coinbase directory here. Here's my 3 files. We can see if I look at the pull request here, you basically have to provide some documentation of your connector running within a Power Automate flow, stuff like that. And then once it's validated by the team, then it's sort of merged into the repo there. And then what happens is you get your connector eventually listed on the Power Automate site. So here's the Coinbase connector. So this particular version is only those 3 actions I showed you guys. So it's very simple. You can't do any trades or anything like that, but you can get back currencies. And then so once that was deployed out there, I said, let me see what I can do with that. So let me just test it out. And in another environment that I have, I just made a really simple Canvas app that uses that connector in a flow behind. So if I want to have current Bitcoin price in US dollars right now, just hit get price, and it'll send me back the current Bitcoin price. I can do Ethereum, for example, or any crypto code that you want, and just kind of pass it back into the Canvas app. And then I said, okay, well, this is pretty simple. Let me see if I can store this information and do a little bit more with it. So I started to build a model-driven app and a longer Power Automate flow that sort of runs every minute and kind of pulls that their service. So you can see here I've pulled in my custom connector. I'm using US dollars as my base currency, but if I wanted euros or what have you, I could just sort of hard code that in here. And then what I get back is a long list of exchange rates, and when I clean it up, it kind of looks like this. So if I scroll down here at the end, you can see there's all of our cryptocurrencies. There's Algo and Dash and Atom and what have you. And then I pulled that into, so for those familiar with D365 and Power Apps and Dataverse and stuff like that, I used the out-of-the-box currency table and added my cryptocurrencies there. So you can see here, I just have a handful that I've pulled into my model-driven app. There's Shiba Inu, there's DAI, there's Bitcoin, Cardano, what have you. And I'm just updating this exchange rate every minute. And then I also write to a table called rates, custom table, that just basically makes a timestamp of the rate at that time. And then so you can see here, one Dogecoin, for example, is worth 15 cents as of 9:51 this morning. And then I kind of pull that into a Canvas app to show market rates over time for the last 24 hours. So I can see all of my cryptocurrencies that I've got in the system. Got a bit of a chart here that shows that it's going down over the last 24 hours, probably due to some of the stuff in the news lately with Fed rates and stuff. And And then, so I made another, chart for Bitcoin over the last hour. I can see, market rates in the last hour for a particular currency. And then, so that's kind of just using those three actions that I put into my custom connector. But I think in the future, what I'd like to do is sort of build out this, the ability to trade within the connector itself. So that's going to require, authenticating into your Coinbase account. So what that could look like is, I've got my Coinbase account, I've got my my holdings here within the account. For example, I could have, 1,000 Dogecoin and 10 million Shiba Inu. Here's my portfolio balance, and then monitor other signals out there or other, influences that could potentially, prompt me to want to trade or buy some crypto, sell some crypto. So, for example, I've just used the Twitter connector here to just kind of monitor Elon Musk's tweets and pull them into Dynamics as an opportunity. In the future, I think I could use Azure Cognitive to kind of detect the sentiment of his tweets, and if he mentions crypto, then maybe that's an indicator that I should place a trade and buy some of that particular currency that he mentions, and things like that. And so you can see, I could pull in a lot of different news articles and influences and stuff like that could potentially prompt a trade. So that's kind of where I'm headed with it, to build out the ability to place those trades. But that's kind of what I have to show, and that's how easy it is to make a custom connector. So thanks, you guys.
Awesome. So this is really, really cool. Coming soon, Roy trading platform, maybe, to help you in your crypto investments. Really cool. I love also, Roy, you mentioned you're not a developer, but you continued to kind of expand your comfort zone here. It really shows you how the technology, was it really, I mean, you kind of simplified it, but I think just a quick question back to you since we have a couple minutes. Was it an easy process for you? I don't want to say it's simplified or super easy, but obviously you completed it. So I think you were successful in doing that. Did you feel like you were empowered along the way?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was my first pull request. So I sort of fumbled through that. And then just the connectors that are already out there, I was mentioning to Natalie the other day, just reading through what other people have already done, the comments on their pull requests and the updates that they made to their connector kind of helped me understand, okay, this is how the process works. These are the files that I need to check in and stuff like that. So it was a learning process. It was a very fun one.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the contribution. That's really, really cool. I could see how this connector could easily be tied into the ways you've used it, but also for everyone else listening, it might be a good Viva Connections extensibility opportunity using some ACEs. I could really see how you could roll up some information about the current price of the crypto, and then have an expanded view like you have here, using the Viva Connections extensibility with those adaptive card extensions. So a lot of really, really cool things. Thank you both again so much. All right, let me get back to the slides and we will wrap up. Again, thank you, Luisa, Sergey, Natalie, and Roy. Awesome job today. Really fun. Great way to start 2022. Lots more coming soon in every week. So thank you, the four of you, very, very much. The recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft 365 YouTube channel. You can always subscribe, aka.ms/m365pnp/videos. You could also follow us on Twitter at Microsoft 365 Dev, at M365PNP. You'll get updates and alerts for all of the current goings-ons of the community. The next call is going to be January 20th at 7 a.m., same bat time, same bat channel here at this exact time. And the next Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework call will be 1 week from today, January 13th at 7 a.m. You can see all of our community calls at aka.ms/M365. That includes the M365 platform call that we talked about being direct from Microsoft Engineering. It also includes the adaptive cards, Microsoft Identity Platform, and Office add-ins and Power Apps. And then, of course, our two bi-weekly calls, the first of which you are on now, M365-Dev-SIG, and our Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework, SPFX-call. Don't need to remember all those, only need to remember ak.ms/M365PNP. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to 2022. You make this community amazing. Thank you all so much.